And it's nice of Coach to make time for us. He was a celebrity guest picker on game day. He had a huge win against Texas A&M. Coach, it's been a whirlwind these last couple of days. How are you?
Great, Paul. That was an awesome day. The whole day, and start with game day being here, and all the attention, all the attention on the town, and the school was phenomenal. And then to end with a win like that, was really neat weekend. And now we got to move on to the next game, and we're fortunate to be.
Did you feel, Coach? Did you feel adequate replacing Katy Perry on game day in Oxford?
I did not. I think that our fans were disappointed. I'm sure our national fans were definitely disappointed. And maybe the crew was probably disappointed too up there.
Let's get going here. Before we get to this week's games and obviously what's ahead the rest of the season, you put out a tweet yesterday that we want to ask you to explain. It was Greg Schiano talking about coaching and grilling, and it was very funny, and you included us in there, and we just thought we'd ask for an explanation.
Well, I can't see the screen, but I do remember the tweet. That's what usually happens. People send me things, and then I resend them, and I thought of you, Paul. Just the person that I thought, who always has the answers of how I should have coached the game. And so I thought of you.
Well, I'm not as smart as you or your analytics, which have gotten you a lot of attention this year.
Well, yeah, when they work, when they don't, when you don't block the right guy or something, they don't work, then they're not any good. But there's a lot that goes into those, just like even in that game. And I always say people look at the obvious thing and think, well, you don't make it. Well, there's a reason why they build analytics in. You leave a team the ball down on the one, it's very likely they don't get out of there, or in that case, they got a safety. So there's a lot to it. And obviously they're not always right. It's like gambling.
Coach, I want to ask you one more off the field question, then I promise you we'll get to the field and talk about the rest of the season. But this is the crazy time of the year when coaches are thrown into the spotlight about other jobs, and most of the time they all say the same thing, that they have a job, they're happy, and then a couple weeks later, often those same coaches walk out. You know the drill. You've seen it a million times. Yesterday, it was Jimbo Fisher going on for quite a while, expressing his love for where he is versus going elsewhere. Your name pops up as well. What is there a good or bad or right or wrong way to deal with coaching rumors?
I don't know. We don't even talk about them with our team. Because whenever the players play well, those things start to happen. So it's just a product, just like team awards, or individual awards usually are because of the team. So it is what it is, and if they're talking about you, it means that the players are playing well.
Speaking of team awards or individual awards, Matt Corral still mentioned often for the Heisman Trophy. You're his coach. Obviously, you have a special interest in him, but we all do. How would you characterize Matt Corral right now in terms of the rest of the country?
Well, I don't get to watch everybody like you guys do, but I know there's what ifs with everybody, but if he would not have had these receivers injured, which, not just 1, 2, 3, he had all 3 out at one point. And prior to those injuries, he was on pay, he was going to win it. And so it is what it is, and he's been injured himself. So, he's just doing the best that he can. And you even saw last week he'd be on fire for a little bit, then he'd miss something, or a receiver was a little bit different. Well, when those guys miss all that practice time, just like he's missed all that practice time, it's impossible, to be perfect.
Coach, this is a tricky part of the season where you have Vandy this weekend, and then you turn right around with the Thursday night game against Mississippi State. Can you take us through how I know it's a game, coaches always say the same thing. You can only think about the next game, but does that plan deviate at all when you have to turn around very quickly and play one of the biggest games of the year?
No, it does not. Obviously we've planned ahead as far as scheduling and what we're going to do, but that has nothing to do with anything different that we do this week. We have an SEC team here coming in for Senior Day, and so this is a big challenge to win another SEC game. So hopefully our crowd shows up, and their last chance to see some of these guys, especially the quarterback. I'd show up and watch.
I know you can't see this, but I suspect you'll be able to hear. Mike Leach yesterday was asked about your praise of him, and this is what he had to say.
Well, he's kind of setting the stage for a really good Egg Bowl, and I'd be lying if I told you I didn't think that he thinks he's the best offensive coordinator. So it was modest of him to say, but and they're doing a fine job this year. So we'll just let the love keep coming both directions. How about that?
Coach, I realize that game is still a little bit off, but you guys do have it's seemingly from a distance, a pretty unique relationship.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've always liked him, admired what he does offensively, and so I know in the SEC that's foreign down here because everybody's supposed to not like each other as coaches, and you're not a good coach if you like the other guy in your rivalry. So, but I'm kind of not typical in that fashion, as you know.
Is there? I know this is better for somebody like me, but I'll ask you anyway. Is there a way to compare and contrast your offensive styles, because you're both? You are considered among the very elite, at the very elite status of offensive coordinators. He is too.
Well, probably a misconception or misperception about the offenses is that they're similar with pace. I think everybody kind of always, thinks, Mike goes fast and has always gone fast just because they're spread out. They don't go fast at all. They're actually one of the slower snap teams in the country, just like the one we just played in Jimbo and Texas A&M, to take the clock almost down every snap. So, very different styles.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.